Yo, so it is officially time to start the swap on the Vega. I've somewhat already started, not swap related, well, I guess it is kind of swap related, not engine transmission swap related, so there's no point in making a video. Plus, I'm still not too interested in recording myself a bunch. It really isn't my thing. I'm trying though, but let me show you what I've done. So as you guys saw in the Tweaker 350 video, which I was wrong about that. That was actually a small block 400. So Tweaker 400, but too late now. You saw the custom motor mounts on the sides, which I cut out, grinded down, and it was an absolute mess, and it was a hassle getting these things out. It like just all the booger welds, which I'm not saying anything bad about booger welding because my welding sucks. It was just all the booger welds made it extremely difficult for the cutoff wheel to actually cut off because it was just so thick. We got those off. These are the regular motor mounts, which of course they cut all the bolts that were in there. So I got that one out, and I got those two out with some needle nose pliers because they weren't too tight. This one was a little difficult, and those two were difficult. They've been soaked in PB Blaster, so I'm hoping I can use the needle nose to twist those out like I did the other ones. Got this tubular, would you call this a K-member? I know K-member is Mopar, but we'll just call it a K-member for now. And it bolts into the factory spots. This is where your sway bar connects also. It just bolts into the factory spots that the original one comes out of. The rack and pinion will bolt in somewhere here. I have no idea. But that's not going to be what I'm doing, so I don't have to worry about it. Let's show you. Well, there's the engine. Oh, what I'm doing now, what I have to do now is I have to cut these more flush and get to this flat part, and I have to do something about a lower core support because, as you can tell, the whole core support has been completely hacked out of it for that Tweaker 400 that went in it. So that's going to be interesting. These are my options that the guy brought me. I probably shouldn't have this sitting directly in the Texas sun. So no, I'm not going to use that one. That one's an option, and this one is most likely what's going to go in for the radiator to sit down on. This might be an option for here to here, but probably not. But I haven't done this yet because I want to set this in with the mounts and see exactly where the engine's going to sit because of space from the front of the accessories to the radiator. So pictures I've seen are of really any engine and any V8 in a Vega, and the radiator, there's like this much room. So I gotta try and do something to where the radiator sits farther this way, but you can still get to the radiator cap. So it's gonna be a lot of test fitting. I've seen a bunch of pictures of custom radiator setups, but they're fabricated in a way that I just don't have the skill level for, so I'm not gonna try and take it that far. I really just want something metal, something flat right there. Like, I preferred angle iron so that it had that straight back, but also had that lip for the radiator to sit down flush on. But that flat piece should work, because that's all I expected to do, was just lay something from there to there for the radiator to sit on. And what's funny about him cutting this part out is the whole front piece is supposed to bolt to that. So now you don't have that. But anyways, I'm gonna, let me show you the motor mounts. So these motor mounts are specifically made for an LS in a Vega, along with this transmission cross member. This was the price of, I think, both of them. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, that's the only receipt I see. So that was the price for the mounts and the transmission mount. This is the company. This is the destructions, which I probably won't read until after I've attempted to use all these and put them in and spent 3 hours of my life doing it the wrong way. And then I'll finally read the destructions and be like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be done. But yeah, so these are nice. Let me kind of show you how they, I think this is this side. So obviously this one goes on the engine, and this bottom part is the frame, and that's not the right side. It's, so line up the bottom holes, and then you got the top hole, which you can't see because my fingers are in the way, and that's where, how it'll sit, which you'll see here in a second. Well, probably about an hour for me, but the whole split second for you. We got a man down right there. Gotta air up that tire. Oh, I gotta take stuff off of this too. Oh my goodness. But all right, I'm gonna get started, and I'll see you all in a second. So we got harness off, intake off, and obviously at this point I just kind of checked some things out. It's pretty oily up here, so it might be a slight PCV valve issue, which on trucks, engines, and the LS1s, the PCV system is quite a bit different. So on your truck valve cover, you have this port, but you don't have this port like you do on the car engine or the car valve covers. Their PCV setup is completely different. It's supposed to connect there, but that's obviously broke. You have this on the truck engines, but it runs to the top of the truck intake, as to where this one runs into that valve cover. Obviously tees off there into the side of the intake here, and then has that, I guess that's another, oh, that's just oh, that just holds it in place. At first I thought it was part of the actual coolant crossover, but no. But we got a little bit of dry oil. Another thing, obviously you can see the cam in here, and I'm kind of worried about that one. So you can see the one next to it where it has the obvious shiny wear, but if you see that one, it's shiny and dark, so it's got more excessive wear in the middle. So hopefully we don't have any, we're not having a domestic abuse situation here where one of these bad boys was supposed to have dinner ready by 5:30 and it wasn't, so they started fighting. This one there too is kind of the same. So I'm leaving this 100% bone stock. I'm not touching anything as far as I know. If he initially wanted, oh, this is an LS1, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that at all. Yeah, this is a bone stock LS1. Seller said that it had 90,000 original miles on it, which could be true. No exhaust manifold bolts are broken, so that's nice. But yeah, he wanted a aluminum block engine because of the car. We were looking around for an L33, which is an aluminum block 5.3 that they made in the later mid 2000s. And then this one popped up for the typical price that they sell for, which was $2,500, and complete with the harness and computer and accessories, coil packs, valve covers, intake. So yeah, hopefully I don't get it all in there, fire it up. And we got that domestic abuse case going on in the back there, but we will see when we fire it up. Don't know till you know. So I'm just getting my lift plate on there, and then I gotta get those bolts out, and then I gotta put the manifolds on, because the manifolds, because one, the engine's already out, and two, I have the steering shaft moved because I believe another guy is doing something different with the steering, so I got the steering shaft moved out of the way so that this manifold goes in no matter what. So, and it's going to be manual steering, power brakes, so we're not going to use this pulley. Well, that most likely will have to be moved 9 times out of 10 on your old school vehicles. The lower alternator mount never works. It always hits something in the steering right there. So you got to go to ictbillet.com and get you a relocation kit. Alternator will probably come where the power steering pump is, and then later on down the road it's going to get an AC bracket, an AC compressor right there. But it's going to retain manual steering, which I prefer manual steering, especially in these greatly engineered fine vehicles right here. So stupid, but I'll see y'all in a second. Got the manifolds ready, of course. We got some broken. Well, this one just came all the way out, but of course those weren't easy to take off. And I'm dealing with the last 2 bolts in here. This one I'm attempting to do like what you do if you're pulling out a broken manifold bolt, weld a nut to the end of it so that you can turn it out. We're gonna see if that actually works. Probably not, because it can never be that simple for me, but let's see. So it did work. We got one. Now let's hope it works on the other one. All right. We got this one out too. So it actually went a lot easier than it would go for me. So that just means something else is not going to go as simple as it should. It's just waiting for me. Oh, well, I was working. We got the fuel pump stuff. So this is stuff for an F body. So 67 through 69 Camaro fuel tank, which is on the other side of the house. And that box right there you see is a whole 67 through 69 Camaro trunk floor pan, which thankfully I'm not doing because one, I can't. I would just say skill wise, that's something I haven't personally done for myself. So I'd rather not my first time try it be on somebody else's vehicle. I'd rather do it to this pile of junk first and get some experience under my belt before I start doing it to other people's vehicles. Plus, the suspension guy, they came and looked at it a while back, and there's a lot of rot back there, and this car is getting rear coilovers, and this is a unibody car, just like this one, even though this one actually has less unibody than this one, which is interesting. And so the way rear coilover works on unibody cars is you get a bar and it goes from this rail to that rail, and then your brackets weld a set of brackets on this side, you weld a set of brackets on this side, and then you weld brackets to the rear end. So since there's rot, the guy that's doing it, he's gonna kind of have to brace a lot more stuff back there, which is most likely gonna require cutting that out anyways. So obviously he'd be the one to put the trunk floor pan in. So what he wants me to do is just hook up the fuel system and just set it in the back. I mean, if it were me, I'd have that bad boy back there, ratchet strap it down, and just send her along. But that's my personal vehicle. This isn't my personal vehicle. I'm a lot more roadkill than roadkill is. So anyways, I got those out. So time to put these on there, those on there. Also, there's only one spot for an O2 sensor. So kind of interested to see how that's gonna play out with the harness and computer, and if one sensor, O2 sensor, is enough. If not, possibly the exhaust guy that does this, he can, when he gets the exhaust bolted up to that, maybe somewhere right here at another bung, O2 bung, to put another sensor. Because though the Amazon harness O2 sensor wires reach pretty far, plus they have the wires on them already, so that gives you about 6 inches of reach. Anyways, throw all that together, and then I'll probably end on maybe cutting those flush and kind of holding a piece of metal up to it and kind of seeing what's going to happen. So here we are, and it ain't looking too good. So the F-body manifolds aren't going to work the way. So for one, steering's too close. I mean, you can tell just right there, that's not a big enough gap for the manifolds, the side of the manifold. And then right around here, the collector hits here, and then the way the O2 sensor is, it's about right here. That also gets in the way right there. Then on the passenger side, it would fit, except this right here gets in the way. And this is a lot of the front end structure. This is the upper control arm bolt right here. So cutting this out would definitely not be a good idea. I can tell you for sure that on this side, the S10 shorty headers would definitely fit. On that side though, it'd be really close. It would definitely it'd probably take some bashing to clear. And then the biggest issue I'm seeing right now is I don't think the transmission is gonna fit unless the firewall is either cut or really beat up. But I'm not going, so the upper middle bolt hole for the transmission is just underneath this cam bolt. Well, I say cam bolt, the bolt that holds in the cam sensor, and it is above this brake line. So that's gonna be interesting. Why do I do this to myself? But we'll just see when the transmission gets here. But it's sitting in there under its own weight. A good thing is the F body pan clears perfectly, absolutely no issues there. It even sits above the K member, so that's good. If you wanted to run power steering, the factory F body power steering fits. Hold on, I'm just trying to get this line out of the way. So anyways, I was trying to get that out of the way so it didn't make it look like it doesn't fit, but that does fit. That's got clearance. Alternator, obviously not, like I mentioned, but power steering pump's coming off. Alternator will go in the place of that. I'm done for tonight. This will happen tomorrow. But oh yeah, that's gonna be close too. So the radiator cap should be about here, which the radiator basically it tells you that it shows you where it used to sit. So the radiator would be about here, give or take, maybe even a little bit more farther in, which obviously no room at all for a electric fan, or it definitely would have to be a super skinny one. And then you can't put, and then you would think, oh, just put the fan on this side, but you can't, because at some point he's going to put in AC and the condenser is going to be on this side. So that's going to be a debacle. I have to pull this all back out anyways because I gotta pressure wash. I gotta take out some things that aren't going to be needed and pressure wash and paint some things, but not until after I cut that and figure out a lower piece for the radiator. But that is it for tonight. I'm trying to decide on how this video will be as far as how much I do for part 1, because there's definitely going to be a part 2. Part 2 should be the end of it, hopefully there's not a part 3, but this already isn't fun. But anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright, so it is the next day for me, and I've been at this for about 2 hours now, mainly because test fitting the radiator, making sure it's level. Yeah, I even got all fancy and got out my leveler, made sure it was level and everything. You guys should be proud of me. But it's in there. It's that piece of metal I told you guys I'd most likely end up using. Now before I show you the welds, remember, I've said it 100 times, I'm not a welder. Welding isn't my thing. I let anybody know beforehand if they want me to weld something that it ain't gonna be perfect or close, but it'll work. So let's check it out. Ooh. But anyways, so I cut this whole piece down to length. I cut the corners off right there so it fit up against the frame rail. But that's about, it's sturdy. I'm moving the whole car, so it'll work. It sits, so you can see how it sits farther out that way. The drain plug, where the drain plug goes is why it doesn't sit farther this way. So it goes somewhere, it goes right on the other side of this. So that's why it sits on the end like that, but it actually goes a little bit farther back. But so it sits like that. That's the room you'll have. This is gonna be tricky, so you might have to kind of mount it, kind of tilt the front forward like that, just so you can get the radiator cap on and off, but I'm not sure how that's gonna go because there really isn't anything to go off of from there to there. I mean, you could bolt this whole piece down, put a hole right there, put a hole right there, and run your zip tie. But that's just me. But yeah, so that's mounted, that's done. That'll get painted when the whole engine compartment gets painted. So those welds won't look as horrible as they do now. I definitely didn't charge enough for this, but that's my fault. So that's it for me today. I gotta pull the engine back out. The transmission tunnel does have to be cut. It's in the instructions. Didn't I say something about reading these? But number 6, open up tunnel. A and right sided firewall. So looking at the firewall, it's basically telling you cut it 5 inches wide, so 5 inches out, and 3 inches up. So that's gonna be fun, and that'll actually probably be next. But we're still, I'm talking to him about it, so we'll see. I mean, well, I say we'll see. That's, you have to. There is no not doing it. But I'll see you guys in a split second, but tomorrow for me. All right, we are back. It has been a couple days for me, but obviously not for you. Pulled the engine back out. I did quite a bit of work without showing y'all. I apologize, but I really don't, because I'm trying to get this done. Ooh, why is that smoking? That's not good. Anyways, obviously, that's not there no more. Oh, I see why it's smoking. OSHA approved. Anyways, got that. So this is basically not done but done for me. So it's on to getting the transmission to fit, and the instructions actually tell you where and how to cut it. I'm pretty sure I cut it a little less than that says, because I would rather undercut than overcut, but we're about to find out. I also took a bunch of stuff out, kind of cleaned up stuff that's not going to be needed and really in the way. Brake line was in the way, which is this bad boy. That vent line that came up and over here to this canister was in the way, which those regular fuel lines are getting taken out anyways. A bunch of unnecessary vacuum lines. Had to take that heater AC box out. I didn't want to, because I didn't want to just have that big gap or that big hole, but it had to because it was in the way right there. So next is just bolt that to that without the converter, and just see how much more I got to do to get it to fit. Well, I'm right back. Well, it's been longer for me, but I have pulled this thing in and out a million times. I had to go to town right here so that the back of the head and the valve cover would fit. I need to cut more of this farther back that way. The sides are good, but that needs to go farther back that way. And then I'm having an issue right there with the transmission. So if you so this is straight, but for the car, that's straight. So it's kind of that way. So the transmission is hitting right here, which this is where the cross member goes, so I can't just cut that out. I did have to go to town kind of right there so that the the VSS sensor on the side of the transmission would fit. Yeah, I'm tired now. So tomorrow we will continue that and that, just back and forth, back and forth. My advice is don't get a Vega to LS swap. I never want to touch another one after this. At least I'll know what to do, but that doesn't mean I want to do it. So get you something not so small and complicated. All right, so it is the next day again, and I've been at this for a couple hours now, and it's just a headache. Don't swap a Vega. Just don't do it. Let me show you where I'm at. So I put in the cross member for the transmission, which is 2 separate pieces. You got a piece like this on the other side. I'm not going to take too much time showing it because it really doesn't matter. I might have to take it all off. I have the transmission mounted where it'd be mounted with this cross member. And then the issue I'm having is now that the transmission is set up where it's going to be, the motor mounts don't line up at all, not even close. So here on the frame, that's where it would bolt on the frame, but obviously there's nowhere for it to bolt like that. It either has to go back here, which is way off because the bolt hole is right under my pinky finger, or way up here, which obviously there's no need to explain. So either got the wrong motor mounts or got the wrong transmission mount. So I think that's gonna do it for this video. That way, 1, this video isn't super long, and 2, there's no telling how long it's gonna take to get whichever part is wrong corrected. So appreciate y'all watching. This isn't like my usual ones. Usually the first video it's all bolted in and you see how it looks, and then video 2 it's all hooked up and running, but that is not the case this go around. It's time to eat and I'm behind in quite a few classes that I shouldn't be behind in. But next video, will we have the correct parts and have it bolted in? What's gonna happen? I don't know. Guess you just have to wait and see. I'll see y'all next video.